Hey friends, Nate Montgomery, the produce champion. It's been a while since we've done a podcast in English. We got some really cool podcasts coming up. I think you're gonna like them. But right now, I want to introduce you to my friend and former coworker, and I guess we would say co-Washingtonian, Suzanne Wolter. Suzanne has been in the industry for a number of years. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks for asking me to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, no kidding. When it comes to produce, there's all kinds of avenues. There's all kinds of aspects. We've had growers, we've had chefs, but when it comes to the marketing, I can't think of a better person than you. I mean, throughout the years, you and I worked together at Rainier, gosh, it's almost 10 years ago. And still to this day, you go to a trade show and people remember you and talk highly of you and the impact that you've had in their relationship. So I thought it would be fun to talk about the marketing side of produce. It's kind of a deep subject. So I don't know where we're going to go, but we'll find out. How's that feel?
That sounds good. That sounds good. And thanks. That's very kind. Those are very kind words. I appreciate it.
So when it comes to marketing, a lot of people go to college, get these degrees in marketing. Everybody's got a degree in business or marketing or whatever, but it's kind of a catch-all, right?
Right.
So when it comes to marketing produce, we were just talking earlier, there's many different approaches that you can have. And one is, I make the Ferrari of the world, or my apple is a Ferrari, or my mango, watermelon, whatever. And then there's others that are more of just a volume, push volume through the pipeline, so to speak. How do you, if you're sitting with somebody and advising somebody, how do you glean what it is the best objective? Do you just talk to them and get their opinion, or do you insert yours, or how does that work? What would you do?
As a marketer, when I'm first meeting somebody, to find out I think the first thing is to really find out what are their goals and objectives. Why do they believe that they need a marketing person?
Okay.
What do they want to accomplish?
Yeah.
A lot of times, they don't know.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, do you think they know?
No, a lot of times they don't. They don't.
We've heard stories of people that maybe don't have a background in marketing, or maybe they do, and they just have a really bad idea. When you're talking to somebody, how do you address that and say, like this? If they don't know, how do you tell them you kind of need to know this, or do you say, let me show you? Or how would you do that?
I don't really tell somebody.
Yeah.
You need to find out where's their problem spot, and what are they trying to address internally. When I think about marketing's job is to make the salesperson's job easier.
Okay.
So first find out what are the obstacles maybe that the salespeople are facing, and then how can marketing or marketing ideas, marketing promotions, a marketing program fit in to be able to assist the salespeople to do their job a little bit better, a little bit faster. When
you're saying the salespeople, like when we were working, you're talking about the salespeople at Rainier, right?
Or anywhere on the desk.
Or what happens to the receiving end? Like we're, the primary target of any produce grower is a retail store. And you're not really even if you talk to somebody at store level, it's not like they're selling cucumbers, right? They're just displaying. How do you present to a retail store that's going to have a marketing department, is going to have a purchasing department, is probably going to have some kind of a category management? There's a lot of different bells and whistles on that side. Do you worry about that at first, or do you focus in primarily first on the grower, packer, shipper? Or how do you manage that?
I think we need to clarify the question. And who am I talking to? Who am I pitching to?
Well,
am I pitching to a new grower or growing sales organization that doesn't have a developed marketing person or team? Or are you asking me the question, how do I pitch that to the retailer when we have a marketing idea or need to move something?
So question number one is, who are we talking to?
Right.
So let's say we're talking to a Mexican Western veg grower that's got Mexican veg program, tomatoes, cucumbers, I don't know, maybe broccolis, and they say, I've been growing this little bit and kind of pushing them through a broker or something. Now I'm big enough to where I want to be recognized for who I am. So let's start.
I actually had a client that had dry veg.
Okay.
And they were one of the premier suppliers, dry veg items, which would include eggplant, zucchini, and some of those other items. And they wanted a little bit more of a presence. And they didn't have a very big budget, but we needed to figure out how are we going to get people to eat more of this particular commodity, the Produce for Better Health Foundation. And they brought in, they had changed their focus to primarily dietitians, and there were a lot of marketing people like me that were there. And dietitians, I was just starting, so this would have been about 10 years ago. And dietitians were in the stores consulting with individuals, shoppers who were coming in looking for items.
So Lucera is walking into Meyer, Safeway, something like that, and somebody flags her down and says, have you considered
how to incorporate? Well, eggplant. We'll take eggplant. How do you take eggplant? So I talked to them about where eggplant originated. I did a little presentation. Where did eggplant originate? How many different cultures it's in? How many different ways that you can prepare it? And gave them some of the nutritional benefits, and we talked about this, and then also about the company. Well, yes, there are a lot of dietitians there at Produce for Better Health at the time, and some buyers. And so it did give them at least an initial exposure to retailers in the United States.
But that's not necessarily saying Bob's eggplants. It's just eggplants in general.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I did talk about the company, but mostly it was about eggplants because we're targeting the dietitians.
Right.
The dietitians aren't necessarily going to care about who the supplier is.
Whose PLU is on it.
Right. But they want to know about the product. And not a lot of people eat eggplant. So how do we drive that? Then from there, they had a little bit of good traction. And then we also went and decided to exhibit at Fresh Summit at the time. So they had their first ever booth. Must have done well because I've seen them at subsequent shows.
So it is figuring out, do we have a budget? What the budget is, what our reach is, and what is the message, kind of the rising tide floats all ships. That right now we're just going to talk about anybody who wants to talk about eggplant or anybody who wants to and did that then shape the strategy going forward, or was that the strategy?
Having a good marketing strategy is figuring out, okay, where's your starting point? What's your end goal? And sure, you may decide along the way that you need to change a little bit.
Got it.
Or adjust for your new target audience, or adjust for budget constriction. Or adjust because you have more. So I'm got this scenario that we talked about. So I'm trying to help my potential customer. How do you define deliverables then? Is it a moving target? Because you can't promise we're going to sell X number of pounds, boxes, whatever. How do you determine because they're going to ask a question, right? What's the return on my investment? How do you determine that? What are some things that you can walk away and say, I know I did good because I did this? When you engage on a social media strategy, you need to make sure that you go back and follow through so that you can say, hey, we had this many clicks, we had this many views. We had this many views in this marketplace. And we saw an uptick in this particular product sales in this marketplace because of our efforts. Or if you're going with a particular retailer, we had this many clicks in this marketplace, and this retailer increased their sales of mango, avocado, whatever it is, by a certain percentage. But then you need to make sure that you have enough of a relationship with that retailer for them to be able to give you that information. Some feedback and some of their sales data. Otherwise, or you have to purchase it, and that can be pretty costly.
And there are organizations that will sell
Absolutely.
that kind of information,
Absolutely.
but it is not cheap.
No, it's not. But I think if you when you can talk to those organizations and ask them what you need specifically, and you might be able to hone it down to exactly what you
spot.
need. Yeah. Instead of purchasing everything.
Yeah.
Just say, this is what I need. What's it going to cost?
Yeah, I don't really care about imported oranges, but I just need to know about plants or whatever.
Eggplants
Can you get
or
that narrow?
mangoes. I don't know if probably not, because a retailer doesn't sell by the POU. When they sell by the POU number, it doesn't show what country it's from. It's just going to show the item as a whole or the category as a whole.
Right. Interesting. So if I were to summarize what you just said, it is, number one, you need to make sure that you know what your customer's objective is, and then you need to constantly be in touch with them over and over again of what's going on, so that if there's any changes, if there's anything different coming along the road, you're sensible to that and can respond quickly, rather than we're done here and then the strategy ended.
Right.
Which is going to lead to what they're looking for, is increased sales. At the end of the day, it's all about sales. So do you then shape a story, and that is to say, because sometimes I see this all the time where I get a really nice, slick, trifold flyer or a beautiful booth at a trade show, and as you start pulling on the string, you find out it's all smoke and mirrors, and there's really not the substance behind that. So how do you go about that? I know my tendency is I want to say all the bells and whistles, but if there's not the it behind it, it makes me nervous to start promising things that I can't deliver.
Right.
But how do you filter that?
Well, it comes down to focus. What do you want to focus on? What's your end goal? And then develop those steps to help you get to that end goal, and stay focused on that end goal, and make sure that when you put a plan in place, you follow that, right? You don't, there's a shiny thing over here, this is where we want to go. Well, no, that's not what we talked about. That may cost extra money. We don't really have extra money, so stay focused if you're getting results along the way. So we'll go back to when we worked together. Our biggest successes came when we partnered with retailers. And a lot of times we would approach those, if we had something new, we would approach the ones that we had the best partnership with. Yeah. The ones that we knew would follow through on what we were trying to execute.
And not you just get distracted by the next shiny object.
Right. And then that usually meant we were working with them on an ad plan. When were they going to promote a certain item? And then what were we going to do to drive consumers to the store at the same time that ad was prepared and going? So there's a give and take, right? Well, I'm going to provide you with this type of in-store material, or I'm going to provide you with a social media presence at this time. In return, I expect this to be in a print or digital ad and some kind of extra display in the store, so that once we've done our job of driving customers there.
One of the things that with something like that I've always toyed around with or tried to figure out is what motivates a retailer, for example, to drop their prices, with the idea, if normally I sell one item for, avocado, $1 a piece. What motivates me to say, okay, I'll drop it to 75 cents or 65 cents with the idea that we sell more? Because at the end of the day, you run the risk of more work for the same revenue. Right. So how do you work on motive? Because there's two people that your growers got to be on board and your retailers got to be on board, and the consumer is pretty much ignorant of all of that.
Right. Talk margins with your retailer. That's what I was always told. Understand what their expected margin
objective
is.
Margin.
And can you provide them a price that's going to allow them to drop the retail and still make pretty close to what they expect for their margin level? And then when I come off ad,
you can make up that.
Well, the margin might still be the same, or they'll get a little bit more. Their sales may slow, but you still have that ongoing business then.
So when it comes to marketing and when it comes to produce, we're talking really about partnering with the grower and also partnering with whoever that, whether it's the retailer or the food service, whatever.
Mhm.
You really got to partner with them. So you got to understand objectives here, and you got to understand objectives over here. What do we do about the consumer? How do we get them to be the pull through?
Well, I think that's one of the challenges for the produce industry, because we haven't necessarily had the budget to be able to reach the consumer and create that pull strategy. You can, especially now with social media.
Mhm.
There's more and more of an opportunity to do that. I see that in the articles that I read.
Mhm.
So-and-so's partnering with this influencer
Yeah.
who has all these followers.
Right.
Well, is that influencer also in your target market? Because I would imagine, and I've been out of it for a while now, but when you look at either Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and all the others,
Fill in the
you
blank.
can you can target. I know we were doing it several years ago.
Yeah.
You can target what
Very
age
specific
group
demo,
you want to
yeah.
meet. Yeah, exactly. The exact demographic in the exact location that you want to get to. So it's easier now than it was a decade or 2 decades ago.
One of the things that we've been playing with is the idea of geofencing. I don't know if you're familiar with the term, but basically you set an electronic
Perimeter.
fence, and when somebody enters in that, then there's a way to capture them. And then whether it's on their cell phone, their computer, or in any device that's connected,
Pop
all of a
an ad.
sudden you're getting ads for that thing. And on the personal side, I blow my back, because the last thing I want is to feel like I'm being manipulated. But it is kind of gimmicky too. Do you think that overall helps on the consumer side, or do you think that that's a turnoff?
Well, you just said sometimes for you, when
For
you
me,
see it, it
but yeah,
cringes you,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So put yourself, maybe everybody feels that way.
Yeah.
But what grabs your attention?
I'm such an impulse buyer. I just
Well, there you
I'm
go.
the-
So
I'm
what's
the
in it for
worst.
you, right?
I-
So if you create that geofencing,
Yeah.
you have to figure out that you have to create something that's going to grab somebody's attention in 3 seconds. I was
Yeah.
just told this
Yeah,
the other
3
day.
seconds.
We have to accomplish this in 3 seconds. So what's in it for that person?
Yeah, and it's got to capture their attention and not turn them off.
Right.
Almost instantly.
Capture their attention and then hold in their mind.
Yeah. So basically, it's something we can knock out in a eat weekends, get a new customer, knock out a whole marketing strategy.
Oh, sure,
and-
no. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
If you were to start today with a new customer, what would you tell? Let's say the same example, and they say, I want one medium-sized regional grower, and I want some kind of a food service outlet. What would you tell them to expect before they start seeing their first PO? 'Cause there's a lot of work there.
There is a lot of work there.
There's all the food safety stuff, and there's all. I mean, just even by the time you knock on the door, you got to have a bunch of stuff.
Right. So
I love
first,
loaded questions.
if you're trying to sell somebody on a program, or I'm trying to sell something, I need to understand the person who's hiring me. I think this is what we said at the very beginning, right? What are their roadblocks? Why are they talking to me?
Yeah.
Or why have they called me?
Yeah.
So you need to identify what the roadblocks are, and then what do they want to accomplish? Is it more sales at a lower price?
Yeah.
Is it less sales at a higher price? Is it going after the premium
Yeah.
customer? Is it going after the middle of the road? Is it going after the lower end? Where do they want to be? I think you really need to define those first, and then you can dig into, okay, if you're going after a food service customer, then you have to start asking the questions, because they may not know, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the food safety certifications? What have you done already? Maybe understand, what have they tried that didn't work?
Yeah.
How can you come in and maybe do something similar but better, and then tell them why it's going to be better and different because of the successes that you've had previously? And then identify to them, okay, I have connections with customer A who is this, and these are the challenges that I see, and this is what I'm going to need to do to get into that customer, and I'll be back to you with the budget for that.
Yeah.
And I have contacts with this customer. Are you into it? So I think just having that communication back and forth with your customer to understand their needs, and then how you believe you're going to be able to help them solve their problem.
it seems to me that kind of the catch-all, right? Everybody wants to sell huge volume to the 2-3 largest retailers in the country. And so my message for most of them is they may not be the ideal. I know you think they're the ideal customer. They might not be
Right.
for those reasons,
Right.
because the bigger they are, maybe the less expensive they want to be, or you see this small local independent grocer type situation. You say, oh, they pay huge money for, well, yeah, but you got to recognize that they're paying for that because they don't have all the distribution options, and so that money's getting spent somewhere.
Wholesaler who's providing a lot of other services for them.
Those resources are being assigned elsewhere, but they're still included in the whole supply chain. What do you think is the most difficult part of the supply chain?
Depends on what day of the week it is. Right? It
It
depends on who you are. It could be the grower that's having to deal with weather issues that changes from one day to the next.
The weather is, because it can affect the grower, it can affect the distribution. Weather, then the political, it seems like the political battleground is a huge one. And third, fourth, fifth are more of the details of, the product itself or the infrastructure of that. But there's some huge components there, in my opinion.
But everybody along the way thinks that their challenge is the most difficult. Go back your years in sales. I know I had this happen to me many, many years ago. I had a big citrus ad going, and it was raining in California, and you can't harvest navels after it's been raining. And the retailer said, I don't really care that it's raining out there. I expect my fruit. Figure out how you're going to get it here. So for him, that was his biggest challenge, not the grower that was not going to be able to get pre-harvest.
The last grower I was working with, I remember they were expecting a huge volume of cherries, and I'm at a trade show, and then the snow came and it killed all the bloom, and they called me and said, don't offer any cherries to anyone. Why? Because all of a sudden the pie was this big and it shrunk down to that big, and everybody's got a piece. That's a challenge. Well, folks, this has been fun. We could spitball here about marketing of produce. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to comment on this and send your questions or whatever, we would love to hear from you. If you will just click below, smash that button to subscribe, and you could do the alert button so that you can get notified anytime we put new content. But we got some really cool content coming up. We got some James Beard nominated chefs that are going to join us and talk about how difficult it is to get produce to the restaurant. I'm always wondering, hey, I eat at this restaurant. How do I get my, eggplant? And then you got to realize they might only be going through a box a day. How do you handle that? There's a lot of things to consider. So folks, we'll be talking about that in the future. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned.